All right, so we'll do a little introduction here. I want to welcome everyone to our first edition of FRYSC Leaders, and we want to welcome Miss Melissa Glass from Butler County, Morgantown area. Miss Melissa, can you just give us kind of a introduction of yourself and who you are, who you work for?
Sure. I'm Melissa Glass, and I'm with Butler County Family Resource Center. We serve both elementary schools here in Butler County, so that means we have North Butler Elementary and we have Morgantown Elementary Schools. And in between those two schools, we have a lot of different scenarios, a lot of different kids and families, and we have to come up with a lot of different ways to help them.
So how many kids are you actually servicing in those two schools? It's real world. Don't worry about it.
We have about 700 students at Morgantown Elementary School, and then we have about 500 kids at North Butler.
Okay. So for people who don't know what FRYSC stands for, can you explain what it stands for and kind of how it's separated?
Absolutely. Family Resource and Youth Services Centers. And what that is Family Resource Centers will serve a child while they're in preschool. Some centers actually cover Head Start, preschool, and then all the way up to 5th or 6th grade, whatever the elementary school has. And then when it becomes middle school, your Youth Services Center takes over. So we are with you through high school, middle school, elementary school, but it just changes somewhat. Our goals as Family Resource are different in some ways from the goals of the Youth Services Center, but we do have shared areas that we cover from birth all the way up to the time that a child will graduate from high school. Once a student gets into high school and middle school, some of our goals are focused on some of the risks that those students will have. And when we're in the Family Resource Center, some of our goals for our students that are birth to kindergarten, we're trying to get them ready for school. So we really do cover a lot of ground in all of the ways that we serve kids and families. And we also we really want to work with the families, and we pull in resources from the communities to help our kids too. So.
Yeah, I think that's kind of a misconception about some people have, or maybe they just don't understand what the Family Resource Center or the youth service centers are, exactly how they work, not just inside of school, not just while a child's there, but they're actually servicing needs outside of the schools, so they can be more successful while they're in schools. What are some ways that kind of you all handle the outside of school situations to help them be successful in school?
Well, some of the barriers that our kids face in their homes, we actually go out and we do home visits. And really, when you meet a family, that's the best way that you can serve a family. When I know the student at school and I know the parents at home, then I really have a better picture of what they're facing, and I have a better way to develop a plan to help them through that. Some of the reasons that we might go into a home and see a family is that they may report that they don't have enough food. We could go to a home to do visits with children that we're trying to get ready for school. Just different reasons. Today, for example, we were called to a home because they needed help with the actual structure of the home. They were facing some damage with their floor, and so we went out to assess it. Is it something that we can help them with? And we went out with another community partner that has the ability to bring in skilled workers and actually fix that for the family. But it really is the very best whenever we know the whole family, and that's where it really makes you feel good, because you can't look at the child and fully understand. But when you go into their home and you know their family, then you can really look at everything that they're facing, and you can make a better plan to help them.
So let me get this straight. So you went to the home and they have some structural problems with the home, and so you're kind of the liaison between the school and the students and their needs, and then the community, as far as bringing in a partner that says, hey, we might be able to help, fix their home.
Right. So when we talk about resources in the community, that's one of the reasons that you might not always find us in our office, because we're working with all of these different partners to bring those services together to best fit the needs of the family. Without knowing people in our community who can help, or knowing of these services and these things, we wouldn't be able to do that. But we try to bring everything together to best solve that problem, whatever the barrier is, because if the child is living in a home where the floor is falling in, they certainly aren't living in the best situation. Whatever that barrier is, that's our job to come in and find a solution for it, so that the child, when they come to school, they're ready to learn.
That's awesome. I knew you all did a lot more outside of the schools than most people realize, but I mean, fixing a home is pretty amazing. What does kind of a typical day for you look like?
There is no typical. There is no typical in this job. I've never had a day that is the same. You can come in and have a plan, and you'll quickly find out that you have a need. Like if you have a family that has a fire in their home, or you have a student that comes to school without enough clothes or the shoes that they need, or they are in a situation where they need some help, you're going to take care of whatever that priority is that has the most need for the student. You're going to take care of that first, and then you're going to try to get the rest done when you can. So a typical day, you want it to go to plan for the list that you have or the plan that you have for the day, but it doesn't work that way. With our job, you just put out whatever fire is burning brightest that day. Really,
I understand it.
Yeah.
So tell me about kind of your background. How did you get into be the Family Resource Center coordinator?
Well, I honestly, I've worked a lot of different jobs. I've done so many things, and I've told everybody that every job I ever had led me to being able to do this one. I can't imagine having come into it at a more perfect time, because everything that I've ever done gave me the tool set to handle everything that comes at you at this job. So I went to Western in Bowling Green, and I worked at Owensboro. It was Owensboro Mercy Health System at the time. And I worked with patients who couldn't pay their bills and had issues with that. And then I went to Graves Gilbert Clinic after I moved to Butler County. And from there, I did the same line of work, working with families that couldn't pay their bills and trying to help them get qualified for programs to help them with drugs that they couldn't pay for if they had a chronic disease and things like that. But what you find when you work in a job like that is that it is business. And at the end of the day, you do it because you want to help people, but it is a business. So my prayer when I came out of that was that I could find a job where I could serve others, and this is that job.
Sounds like you're doing it at a very, very high level. Can you tell us about one of the maybe biggest problems that you see that you deal with on a day-to-day basis?
One of the biggest problems that I see are the homes and the families that our kids come from, the problems that they face when you have a child who has parents that are incarcerated, or you have a child who's being raised by their grandparents. Some of the issues that we talked about before, being in a food sensitive home. It's hard to come to school and sit at school and do everything that you need to do. So I feel like the hardest thing is that when you do this job, you want to be able to fix it all. And the reality is that you can't. So you have to be able to focus on the things that you can help with and fix those problems. But our kids are facing a lot. So everybody that works with our students, whether it be the teacher or the bus driver who picks them up and sees a student that doesn't have on proper clothes when it's cold in the wintertime, the entire school system wraps around the child to try to help them. But we get reports from everybody, and that makes our job a lot easier. So from the school bus driver or from the nutrition staff in the cafeteria that's telling us about a kid who's stuffing extra food in their pockets, or lingering around looking for that extra plate, all of that we all work together for this to happen. But it's always about the child.
I was an officer for 20 years, and I was in probably the same homes that you were in a lot of the times. And you get a lot of empathy. Once you're there, you see what the kids are going through, and really the kids you may think are bad kids, or they're doing horrible in school or having real issues in school. Yes. You see their home life, and all of a sudden it's like, oh, I see exactly why they are what they're doing. Right. Have you had the same situation?
It is. It's like walking into a different world. I think we become immune to what we think that people's lives look like. When you walk into a home,
everyone has the pretty Facebook life, right?
Yes, they do. And when you walk into a home like that, especially as a parent, you see your own kids and you realize what a different life some of our kids live. But when they're in the school, you can't really look at a child and you can't pick them out from the line and know what their home life is like. So when you walk into a house like that and you see it, even though you've seen it before, it always humbles you, and it just gives you that push to want to continue to do this, to make children's lives better. No matter what we do, our work will probably never be done. We will always have more work to do. That's the reality of it, but you can't let that stop you from still trying to do what you need to do to make things better for kids.
That's awesome. I was talking to a lady this morning that was brand new into the FRYSC field. I mean, like less than a month. What kind of advice would you give to those people who just start here and maybe a little overwhelmed of, oh my goodness, I've I've got to save the world from this spot?
My advice would be don't be afraid to say no. You will have people that come to you every day needing something, wanting something. Can you help me? And that's not just the people that you serve, that's the people that you work with. There's so many things that can be done in the school, so many committees that you can serve on. Just take on everything that you take on very carefully, because you have to protect your own energy levels. You have to be able to take care of what you can take care of, and you can get very overwhelmed by trying to take on too much. So I just think as a first year coordinator, you need to know that it's okay to say no.
Awesome advice. Well, what's maybe a problem that you all don't have a solution to, that maybe someone here who's listening to this or views this says, oh, we've found that solution? What are something that maybe you don't have the ideal solution to, that you like some advice on?
I don't know that I have that. I don't know that I have.
Well, that's awesome.
You might have to edit that one out. I don't know that I have. That's part of the problem too. When you go into a job like this, you're an optimist. So you constantly, every day you wake up and you feel like you can take it on and you can do things. I don't feel that way yet. I'll just keep trying. Even though I may not have the best answer, I really don't have. That's probably the wrong answer, but I don't.
Well, it's a good answer, because you have to be that optimist, or
I think you do maybe have to be an optimist. It's probably not the best thing, but you just keep thinking.
Well, I'll tell you something I know you have found the answer to that I haven't found anywhere else in all of our travels across the state is how to get parents there. Now, we had a parent night, which literally that night had more parents there show up for our training than probably the dozen or so more trainings we had all together. It's pretty amazing. Can you tell them about how you did that?
Oh, sure. Yeah, I'll tell you about that. We do a program here in Butler County that really is a countywide program, and it's Toys for Tots. So we are taking care of, this year we had with the program and extensions of it, over 200 children that we took care of through Toys for Tots.
Awesome.
That is one of our programs that we do in Family Resource. There are 2 people that work in Family Resource in this county, and there are 2 people that work in the Youth Services Center. So between the 4 of us, that is one program that we're coordinating countywide that doesn't include all the other things that we do. So we found with that program that we put a whole lot into it, and the families get a whole lot from it, but we wanted to do more. We serve different families and children with that program that could benefit from some of the other programs that we're doing. And so, like you're saying, when you have a parent night, you can advertise the parent night, you can have free pizza, but you may have a handful of parents show up. And the odds are pretty high that the parents who show up probably know more about or as much of the topic that you're trying to teach them about as you do. So you don't feel like you're getting to the parents that you really want to reach. So we modified our program, our Toys for Tots program, and we modeled it after other counties and other FRYSC, the way that they were doing their program. And rather than giving Toys for Tots, you have to earn it. You have to put something into it yourself. So one of the things that we did, we have volunteer hours, we have classes with our bank, we have finance courses, just a bunch of different options for parents. And we lay all of that out whenever they apply for Toys for Tots, and they have a choice. But this year we included the Cyber Safe Kids Parent Night, and we chose that for our parents. That was a mandatory, if you need Toys for Tots, someone from your family has to attend the Cyber Safe Kids Parent Night. And so by doing that, we were able to have a huge number of parents and families. Now, we also invited our entire county to that program. We invited parents, we had churches who were sending out invitations. We really had a team that advertised that to try to make it something, because every parent needs that information. That bottom line, every parent needs that information. So by doing that, we were able to have a nice audience and parents to get that. And one thing that our parents said afterwards, I talked to a few of them, was that they could have listened for another hour. They were really interested in what they were hearing, because the information that they're getting is not about things that are happening to children in other communities. Sadly, it's things that are happening right here. And every parent needs that information.
Oh, I think you're exactly right. They do. And this is kind of why we do what we do. But it was amazing to me to see the actual turnout. I mean, did you have an official number? I know kind of what we talked about that night, but I
It
know it
was,
was 100 and
yeah, it
over
was a little
100.
over 100. Yeah, I have to pull my records to
That
pull
was,
it out.
yeah.
A little
So
over 100.
however you did that, however you pulled that off with the community and everything else, it was pretty amazing. I know you were saying that, well, you're sorry we had 180 people sign up. We're sorry only 100 showed up. But I was like, this is by far the largest turnout that I've ever seen for a parent night. It was pretty amazing.
Right, right. Well, we put that out there, making it mandatory. It's the first time that we've actually done that, but I felt like the information that we were sharing was something that applied to every parent. For one, we didn't just throw that out there thinking that we didn't throw it out there lightly. We knew that this was something that threatened every child.
Mm-hmm.
So this is something that every parent needs to have. So by having that, it allows you to have the confidence to say this is mandatory. As part of what we're offering you, this is a mandatory piece of the puzzle. So they chose all of their other enrichment activities or programs, but this one we chose. And for that reason, because we felt like it was valuable. We may not do it like that every year if we do not
Yeah.
have somebody to offer that we don't think reaches parents of all ages, because this is something that fit our parents from kindergarten all the way up to 12th grade. So, and the fact is, it's true information, it's relevant information, and you can try to protect your child, but if you actually are more aware of some of the dangers, I think you're going to do a better job.
I think so. I think so. Now, I'll be honest with you, when you first said, hey, can you come to the elementary school? We don't usually do elementary schools very often. We are now because of that experience. But especially when you're like, asked us if we could do down to third grade. I was like, third grade. I don't know if they really need that. But when I showed up and we started talking to third graders, it really just blew me away how many are have phones, how many are online, on using gaming, which I guess you knew, but we didn't really see that. So how much are you seeing the elementary school students dealing with online issues or being online?
Well, when you poll the kids, you can just put the pictures up of the familiar icons of Facebook, Instagram, those things, and every hand almost in the room will go up. They recognize that. They know what it is. Our students have free range access to phones or tablets. Some of them do. This is not something that's just for middle school kids. Every student in this school wants to have a phone. Everybody wants to pick up a phone and have it. It's just the reality that we face now.
Yes, it is a very, very dangerous situation for them, but appreciate everything you've done. Is there anything else that you want to kind of just share with the other Friskies out there or the other supporters who kind of what you're doing or what you got going maybe this semester, maybe the summer?
Well, we're getting ready to put some low tunnels on our beds here. We have school gardens here at Morgantown Elementary and Butler, so we're getting ready to low tunnels on so that we can grow some vegetables in February and March, and we're wrapping that around. We're partnering with the Butler County Young Farmers and Strutting Rooster Farms to just continue what we've got going there in our gardens. We're working with the Junior Chefs program after school. We're not cooking any of the food that we're growing yet, but it may get there. So, between those programs, the food bags that we distribute through Feeding America, our shoe program that's coming up with Happy Feet, where we provide shoes to kids in the schools that we know need them. Like I said, every day is different, but the center of every day are our students.
That's awesome work. Well, I appreciate everything you're doing there. It's been a kind of a big eye opener for us to see exactly what all the stuff you do has been amazing. From fixing homes. I mean, that's that's pretty amazing. But I do appreciate you coming on for the interview today, and I hope that people that see it, one, they see kind of what you're doing, and two, especially the information for the new Friskies. Just don't get overwhelmed. Is pretty awesome information. But again, I thank you for coming on. And